Hey, Bob. It's Carlos. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. It's Friday, Carlos.
Hey, it's Friday. TGIF, everybody.
Yeah, so here we are again for another episode of Drawn by Success. That's usually your line, but I'm stealing that today.
Well, it's okay. We'll
we don't mind.
put you in the driver's seat today.
Look at me, man. Doot-doot.
I'll be the co-pilot there. You look like the pilot. You got the headset on and everything.
Yeah, I was looking for the in-ear ones because these are falling apart. I wanted to use those today, but I pulled them out and they had a mic on them, and you were complaining about how you heard it like rubbing against my shirt. So gotta go old school again one more day, and then I'll find those for next time.
Gotta do what you gotta do, man.
I don't think people are gonna recognize me without the headphones, you know.
Without the Mickey Mouse ears on.
Yeah, man, they're gonna be like, "Whoa, that guy's got ears."
So what you've been up to, Bob? You just showed me a little project that you were working on. That's very interesting.
Yeah. So
I like seeing what you're working on in the studio every now and then.
Yeah, busy. Lots of stuff going on. Got the SCBWI event coming. Did I say that right? SCBWI, yeah. Event coming
your
up.
letters right.
I know. You just never know what you're calling out if you call out the wrong letters. So Society of Children's Books Writers and Illustrators event coming up on the 26th. I'm going to go down there. I know I've been talking about this a lot, but I'm really excited about it. We got some really fun stuff happening.
Now, have you been able to reach out to any other artists that are going?
Yeah, actually, I've talked to quite a few, so I'm excited. I'm going to be meeting a couple people down there and saying hello. We just finished up working on the handout that we're going to be doing for our portion of the event. We're talking about the business side of art, so we've got an 8-page handout that we're giving out, all about getting your career started and what it's like to be a freelance artist and that kind of stuff. So that's pretty neat. I just finished working on the layout with the two women that I'm working with. So we've got this thing planned. I'm going to be reviewing portfolios when I get down there, so it's going to be an exciting event. I've never been to one of these before, so it's kind of new for me, but it's going to be fun. And then, Carlos, I don't know if you know this or not. I think we talked about this a little bit earlier. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. I'm kind of playing this up. I'm trying to
let you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to
know if I know.
I'm trying to get. This is like I'm doing this for the show, right? I'm trying to pump this thing up, and get people excited. So I don't know, Carlos. You may or may not know this, but on the 19th we have a very special guest coming in to be interviewed on the show. Her name is Tara Reid, not the movie star Tara Reid. Tara Reid, the artist Tara Reid. So we got that going for us. Yeah, absolutely. So we got that going for us, which is going to be fun.
Excellent.
Yeah, she's got a special program coming up she's going to be talking about. So, yeah, should be fun.
Right, so it'll be the 19th at 10 o'clock.
Yes,
Friday.
Right, Friday the 19th.
Okay, so we'll send out an invite and get you people to watch live if you want, and we'll tackle that.
Yeah, so that's not next week, the following week. But
right.
So, back to today's thing. So you had an episode that went on with the website. I don't know if anybody who's visited the website noticed, but we were down for a little while, and Carlos was kind of fighting with it. So
how can anybody visiting the website not notice? It had like a big error page on it for like 2 days.
Well, I
had like a ton of emails, people saying, "Hey, I'm going to your site. I'm following your links on Twitter. You keep putting out Twitter links, and I can't get to your site."
People were following me too. They're like, "Bob, what's up with Carlos's site?" It's like, man, it's down. It's in the dirt down. So
we're playing the mysterious card. We're sending you to posts that you can't access. So it makes people want us more, Bob.
Yeah, well, I hosted it on the Bob Teaches Art site for a little while, just to so that people could get a hold of it. But I wanted to bring that up today because I wanted to talk a little bit about learning and that kind of stuff. So for anybody who's in the dark, the site went down, and Carlos was working desperately to fix it. And so we talk about the learning thing and getting stuff done the most efficient way that you can. And so Carlos, I'm going to let you kind of pick up the ball and run with it here. But you ran into some serious trouble with that site, and so rather than flounder with it for months, you decided to take the bull by the horns.
Well, what happened was that without getting into the technicalities, like real technical jargon, because I don't know the technical jargon, but the database got over the database over at the host got overloaded, so they pulled the site down, and something just got stuck on there where it was requesting information from the database from the servers constantly, and pulling in a lot of bandwidth, so they shut it down. So we needed to figure out what the problem there was. So I mean that's one issue. And that's why, if you saw the interview with Kelly Phillips last week, that's why you ended up hosting that on your site. I mean, of course, we have it on Google Plus and YouTube, but we posted that on your site because Drawn by Success wasn't accessible. So we posted that there. So once we got that resolved, it was a matter of then taking one of the problems was that I had a really old theme that hadn't been updated because when they redid it, they kind of reworked the whole thing. And at the time, I didn't want to get into it, and it was working fine. So I didn't, that whole phrase, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. So it wasn't broken until last week. So so now it required that I fix it now. So.
It was only sort of broken.
Right. Well, it was just a matter of time, It was the fuse on that thing was getting shorter and shorter. But anyway. The poop hit the fan, and I had to get working on it. So one of the issues I think was the main theme. So I was trying to avoid having to rework it and do all that kind of stuff. So now what I want to do is create a development site within Drawn by Success where I can start designing and putting together the new site while the old Drawn by Success is up and running. So because we need to be able to make that switch sometime soon. So it was basically getting into that, and after talking to Kelly Phillips, actually before we interviewed her, we were talking a little bit about it because she knew about the issues that were going on. And I was picking her brain a little bit, and one of the things that I got into once I started, figuring out how to set up a development site where I can have access to it and kind of mirror the current Drawn by Success site and put it up there and work on it without anybody seeing it, was a lot of like the PHP admin, MySQL database stuff. All that stuff needed to be copied, and I had no idea what the hell I was doing.
Yeah, so you're getting in over your head.
Well, sort of. I mean, it was just an area that I wasn't very familiar with, and I knew it was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to learn how to do it. So it was Labor Day weekend. It was Labor Day weekend. I figured, I got a couple of days to kind of look into this and kind of see how far I can get on my own and try to learn this. Not that I wanted to be a coder or anything else. I just wanted to see if I can get those pieces together and put it together myself. So I had spoken to Kelly a little bit. She was kind enough to talk to me for about a half an hour about things that I'll need to do. And then I started researching some information and pulled that together. So I spent the Labor Day weekend working on that. I did get it to work. I mean, there were some roadblocks that I ended up coming up against where I thought, holy crap, this is it. This is as far as I can go. And then as soon as I stepped away from the computer for like an hour, it would hit me, I'd come back, and then I'd fix it and resolve it. There's a couple of times where I reached out to Kelly and said, I'm done, I need your help. And then like before she can get back to me like 15, 20 minutes later, I'd figure it out and said, never mind. But got it. But she was really helpful in helping me guide me through the steps that that I needed to take and letting me know what path I needed to go on and what to expect, because I really had no clue what to expect.
Yeah, and that's what kind of led me into this whole thing is about this learning thing, right? So not to shortcut the conclusion of how you fix the site and.
Well, no. What I did was actually I went ahead and I eventually hired her anyway.
Yeah.
But I did go through the process. I mean, she offered to help me and put it up for me and do that stuff. But I told her, I wanted to learn how to do it myself, and so that I can know how to do it in the future. And what I intend to do is do it with other, some other of my sites, so I can replicate it so I don't forget the process. But anyway, I ended up hiring her anyway because it's a good idea to hire people that are going to shortcut your learning. Now, had I been strapped for time, I told you I just want to hire Kelly and just have her do it.
Yeah.
I don't even want to mess with it. But I did have a couple of days off where I could get into it, and being inquisitive, as we all are, we want to try to figure stuff out. To me, it's fun, just trying to get it in there and figure it out. And it's really a good sense of accomplishment when you're able to get through it. So I got through it, but I hired her, and she guided me some through along the process. But now I've got her like as my ace in my up my sleeve for when I run into another difficult situation, and I don't have a whole day to try to figure it out. I just want to like resolve it and have her point me in the right direction. So yeah, man, it's really important to find those people that'll help you shortcut the process that you want to do. I mean, if you want to learn something and do it, just kind of look for the information, do it yourself. That's fine, but don't do it because you're really stubborn about it. And I can be really stubborn about stuff like that, where I gotta figure this out myself. I gotta figure this out myself. But at some point, it starts costing you, a lot, in time and energy and frustration.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to get into a little bit, is the difference between learning something for the good of your business or whatever, and then also that sort of rabbit hole that we sometimes wind up going down, where we're so determined that we want to learn something. We're not going to pay somebody else to teach us that, because that's ridiculous. Who wants to spend money on that kind of stuff? And all of a sudden you realize you've spent all this time, you're no closer to your goal than you would have been. Now I know that when Kelly was helping you out, she showed you a couple of things right up front. Here's where this lives. Just do this, do that. How long do you think that would have taken if you had to try to figure that out on your own? So,
well, yeah, it would have been quite a bit. A lot of hunting around on the internet and stuff like that. So it's important, I think, and we talk about this. I mean, let's be honest. We talk about this a lot between you and I and other artists that get in touch with us, and we see it all the time. I mean, people struggling, in some cases for years, with something, and they just want to try to do it on their own, and you talk to them 6 months, 8 months later, and they're still no closer to getting done what they want done, and it's kind of sad because there's opportunity lost in that time, They're just looking at what it might cost to pay someone to help them out, to hire someone for an hour or two to help them through something, or get them more focused on whatever it is that they need, the next step even, because a lot of people are just so overwhelmed that they don't even know what the next step is, and sometimes it takes a fresh view from outside to say, hey, this is what you need, talk to you a little bit and then figure out, okay, this is where you need to go next. And they're really shooting themselves in the foot. They're really not saving themselves. It's really costing you in the long run. It's really costing you a lot, actually.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I was thinking about this the other day. There are two places that you can focus. You can focus on the obstacle, which is learning what you need to learn. How much is that going to cost? Oh my gosh, it's way out of my range. I can't. Or you can focus on the end part of that equation, which is how much income is this going to bring into my business. A couple of years ago, I had an opportunity to take a class in InDesign, and the price of the course wasn't that high. I mean, it wasn't a make or break, but what ended up happening with that class is it opened up a bunch of new doors for my business, and I can't tell you. I think I spent $100 on the class. I mean, maybe $100 on the class, and that doesn't seem like a lot, but sometimes that's a stumbling block for people. They don't want to spend the money on that, But what you have to remember is that now, 4 or 5 years later, I'm teaching InDesign, and I can't tell you how many thousands of dollars that small investment has brought into my business. So had I focused on that $100 obstacle up front and not paid the $100 to take the course, I would have kept going the same direction I'm going, but I would have never realized all the potential that one course had for me. So now I teach it. Now I use it in my day-to-day business. I offer it to my clients. It shortens my workload during the day when I'm putting together things like my portfolio, all that kind of stuff. So I think the problem is where we direct our focus. So rather than directing our focus on that little that little hill we have to climb in front of us, we have to focus on what's behind the hill. What's going to come as a result of climbing that hill.
Yeah, I think you have to have. I think bottom line, I think you have to have a good understanding of what the information that you're seeking, what kind of value it's going to bring to your business. I think you have to be really kind of clear on that. I mean, if you're just doing something for fun, I mean, there's a difference between just learning something on your own, just doing it for kicks because you got an extra 4 hours, versus, okay, I have 4 hours, because we've spoken to a lot of illustrators and artists that, have hectic and their days are filled with stuff to do. So they don't have a whole lot of time left. So maybe they have like 2 or 3 hours. Mm-hmm. Well, in those 2 or 3 hours, do you want to spend them hunting down for something that, because that, as a matter of fact, well, do you want to spend like 3 or 4 hours doing something that will take you like maybe half an hour, to do if you knew the steps, so that now you can have time to do stuff that normally artists say they don't have time for, like marketing or getting following up on leads or putting a list together of 4 or 5 people they can call tomorrow, all that kind of stuff. I mean, so where are you spending your time? Like we were talking the other day, when I did this whole process of putting that site over, it took me like 2.5, 3 days just to wrap my head around it, because I'm about as dense as they come, Bob. I don't know if you've noticed, but really I get pretty stubborn, but I am really dense. Now, the one thing I'll say about myself, being as dense as I am, is that I will stick with something like a pit bull with a bone. I mean, I will stick with something until I finish it. So what happened was, it took me like almost 3 days to just put that development site up and have it all in sync and get the MySQL database all set up and figure out how to set all that up. I had never done that before. I had never even gone into MySQL database before. Knowing now after the 3 days, it shouldn't take more than half an hour to set one of those sites up with transfer to the MySQL. If I had to do it again today, it would take me probably maybe 35 minutes. Mm-hmm. And that's considering probably that half the things I learned during last weekend I've probably forgotten by now. So, but like maybe 35 minutes, but it took me 3 days to do it. Because it took me 3 days to do it, it kind of ingrained it, because I did a lot of steps over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. So it kind of ingrained it in my memory. But the point is that you have a certain amount of time available to you. So what are you going to decide you want to spend that time doing? Do you want to just get to the result, or do you want to just tinker and experiment? If you want to tinker and experiment, that's fine. We're an artist. That's what we do. That's how we expand our styles. That's how we do things. But if there's something that you need to get, and you need to get it done now because it's costing you, you're better off just getting the resource, putting you on track, and getting the result you're looking for as quickly as possible, so you can move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I'm the same way as you are, Carlos, and I think a lot of us are. Is we start to follow this path, and suddenly, I'm gonna relate this back to something that happened to me last week. I was out for a run. I went to this park in my area here, and it's a big park, really like a big state park, and you can get on these trails for miles. So I went down this familiar path that I knew a little bit, and then I said, well, I want an adventure today. So I don't like running the same path every time. So I got onto this little side path, and I was like, this is cool. Look around, this is great. I get onto it, and the path was short, and I was like, well, that was so great. I want to take another one. So I took another side path, and this path started to lead me through the woods, deeper and deeper into the woods. And the more I went, the further I went, the more I started to think, do I continue in this direction and hope that it loops around, or do I turn around and go back? And so this is the equivalent of that rabbit hole that we get into when we get online. We start to follow things. We say, you're hunting, always hunting for the answer. When if you just sort of organize yourself and got yourself together, you pay your $50 and you learn this stuff in an hour. Here I am in the woods, and I keep thinking this trail's going to loop around. It's going to loop around. It did loop around eventually, but I ended up, instead of spending like an hour in the woods, which is what I normally do when I go for a run, I was there for 3.5 hours trying to find my way out. And I was stubborn about it. I wasn't going to turn around.
Most people would call it lost.
I was lost. But but the problem, what I'm getting at here is, when you start to hunt and peck for these things, you're going blind, and what would have saved me would have been a map, and that map would have been taking a course, if I was going to be doing something else. I would have found a solution to this thing, and I would have followed that solution. But I refused to take a map, and I refused to turn around, and I was just going to keep going. I was going to keep marching forward, And I think that's what that when we look at this learning process, getting stubborn and falling down these rabbit holes, sometimes you just got to stop and you got to say, okay, what am I doing here? How much time am I spending? As an artist, we like our mind to be busy. We like to be. It takes us, outside of ourselves, and we get that focus, that we get. And sometimes you have to stop and you got to say, look, what's the best thing for me right now? What would be the best thing for my business? Is it to spend 3 days, learning something, or is it to call somebody, who knows how to get through this stuff and can get me through it in half an hour?
Right.
So here. By the way, I made it out of the woods. I was fine. Everything was okay. But it's one of these things where, had I brought a map or had I gone the way that I normally would have gone, then everything would have been fine. And so I think when it comes to learning, again, like you said, you have the opportunity to go out there and find all this stuff on your own for free. I mean, we got the internet, right? But the problem that we have is a lot of times the solution isn't in those little free things. So we keep continuing to hunt and peck. And then, like you said, all of a sudden 3 days goes by, 3 weeks goes by, 3 months goes by, 3 years go by, and we haven't learned what we needed to learn, And so that was part of what I wanted to talk about today and address and say, look, sometimes you just have to be smart about the way that you learn. And so, I would encourage everybody to go out and, take a class in something that you've been wanting to do for years but have been putting off. You just wouldn't believe what that can do for your business,
And also, without mentioning names, I mean, you were just approached by a well-known artist to have you coach them on how to use Illustrator for certain aspects of what they're working on. Now, this artist is perfectly capable of learning on her own if she chose to. It would probably take her a little longer because she's got to hunt around or buy a book or something, maybe just kind of trial and error. But she came to you, and you're going to put her on the fast track, and that's why she's successful, because she's not wasting her time spinning her wheels trying to reinvent the wheel when the information is already out there. There's people who've already done it and people that can walk her through the process of doing exactly what she wants to accomplish versus, going side branching to a bunch of things that maybe isn't exactly what she wants, but it's sort of what she wants. Then she needs to go elsewhere and then piece things together. So I think that's there's a huge value to that.
There really are, there's really, I would say, like 3 or 4 steps, when it comes to learning stuff. You can try to do it on your own. You can use a resource. Or you can find somebody who knows what you need to learn and get you right through that as fast as possible. So if you're stubborn and you want to just go out and try to find it on your own with no resources, you can do that. You can find it online. It's going to take you 3 or 4 times as long, and sometimes you may not ever find the answer. You can also the next step up is to go take like a course or to learn online with a video or something like that, and those are good too. But again, it doesn't focus in on directly what you want to learn. So you'll learn a lot of stuff, but you may not learn exactly what you need to learn. And then the final step, I think, which is probably the best step, and obviously it's going to be a little bit more expensive, is to find somebody who knows exactly what you need to learn, knows the whole thing, and can teach you exactly what you want. And that's where the tutoring thing comes in. So when I do tutoring, I get people from A to B in an hour, 2 hours, or whatever, and maybe a couple of sessions, but we get them there much faster than you would in a normal course. So I think it really depends on what your needs are and how quickly you need to learn this stuff, and how valuable you feel that information is going to be for you. So
yeah, that's where you have to be clear on what your outcome and what the result is and what it's worth to you. If it's something that your business is hinging on, we've heard this a lot. We've heard a lot of illustrators, because we always talk about going to conferences. You and I invest heavily in ourselves and going to conferences, getting learning things all the time, even getting coaching or signing on with people. And I hear it all the time. And it's like, oh, well, I can afford to to go somewhere and get the information that I need.
Sometimes you can't afford not to. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and when we're talking about, I understand that, conferences, can be a couple of $100, $300, $400 maybe sometimes 4 or above. Mm-hmm. And then you've got, if it's a 2 or 3 day conference, you're looking at hotel rates, and you're looking at airfare. So it gets expensive. But honestly, if it's this is what I can't understand sometimes when I'm even coaching with people and talking to artists that are stuck and just can't get. I mean, they're on the verge of having to go and work 9 to 5 because they just can't make things work. If you're serious about your business, my son, who's 18, can go out today and make $500 if he needed to. I mean, he's just saving up right now. I mean, for the last 3 weeks to get I don't know why, a gaming computer. But I would have spent, $1,300 on a gaming computer. But he's going to go spend $1,300 on a gaming computer because he's into gaming and all that kind of stuff. But here's the point: he's 18, and he can find the money if he needs to. And I think we can all find the money if we need to, if what we want is important enough. And what I'm saying is that if you're sitting on the sidelines, not getting the results you need, or the results you need from your business, and you're looking at possibly getting a 9 to 5 because you can't make things work. And there's one piece missing, whether it be the marketing piece, the knowing where your market is, or defining, your style, or whatever the hell it is for you. If that's the only thing that's keeping you, and you have someone that can offer you a solution or get you that much closer, if you don't make that investment in yourself, how committed are you to your business? I mean, you might as well just pack it up and go work your 9 to 5, because in some of these cases where I've spoken to some of these people, it's like, I've been talking to them for like the last year and a half, almost 2 years, and it's always the same story, and nothing's changed in that time. Nothing's changed in that time because they don't invest in themselves to really they want to piece things together. And I'll be perfectly honest, when I was doing that whole database changeover, I would find a couple of resources online. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, there's almost too much information out there, because what happens is you almost end up. Well, no, seriously, what happens is you end up having a lot of conflicting information.
Yeah.
And I would follow one thing, would get me to a certain point, and then I'd say, well, wait a minute, there's a piece missing here. What the hell happened? It's like you went from here to here, but when I'm doing it, there's like a gap here. Something's not working. Now I'm off fishing for something else, and it could be that maybe that information was outdated. Like some of the things that I was looking at is maybe from 2011 or something like that. So maybe some things are different. So you're having to hunt for another piece and then try to plug it in and see if it works. Okay, that doesn't work, and go back out and come back in. So it's a lot of going back and forth. And like I said, I mean, this is a conscious decision that I made because it was Labor Day, and I took it as a challenge to myself to be able to wrap my head around. Really, because I'm dense, especially when it comes to this stuff. I'm just really, really dense. So I really took it upon myself as a challenge to be able to at least wrap my head around this thing and figure this out.
So while you were doing that, I was running through the woods.
You're right, getting lost in the woods. So what I'm saying is that you have to invest in yourself and stop using money as an excuse. It really, if you're starting a business, I mean, as it is, to start a business nowadays is cheaper than it ever has been. I mean, anybody can start on a shoestring. I mean, and being freelancers, I mean, it doesn't cost us anything to start freelancing and hang up a shingle. Invest in yourself. If there's something that's holding you back, invest the freaking money, man. Get it done. Resolve the issue and put it behind you and move on to the next thing. You know what? There's going to be like 12 things. You're focused on this one thing, this one roadblock, right? And it's got you stuck. Pay to get it, wipe it out of the way. You know what? Because there's going to be like another 12 behind it, and the sooner you get to those, the sooner you're going to get to where you want to be. Don't let these things hold you back, really. I mean, we've heard it before. We've been in discussions with a lot of people, and we see the same issues over. People just don't want to invest the money. You're investing the money in yourself. You're not paying somebody else. It's an investment in yourself. If you need something resolved, pay for it. Get it done.
Yeah, so you'll pay for it one way or another. You'll either pay for it with money or time, basically. I mean, that's what it comes.
Well, you're gonna pay for it a whole lot more if you some of these people that we've talked to, I mean, they've been on the sidelines for a year. Just think what they could have accomplished in a year.
Well, yeah, what your potential income could have been over that year.
Well, if they're making $25,000, $30,000, and they want to, and it's just not enough for them to go on because they're gonna have to go get a 9 to 5. In 12 months' time, you can literally double your income. literally double your income in a 12-month period just by changing a few things. It's not like reinventing the planet. Just tweaking a couple of things that you might be doing already, or more. It's just crazy to me. I just don't know why people get so stuck on that. It's really like a pet peeve of mine.
I know. I noticed that. I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath now.
Oh, let's all breathe together.
No, but I
No, it's
know
true,
what
man.
I know what you're getting at. I follow you.
I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I mean, it's just something that I think we all know it, and we all have heard it, but sometimes we don't realize it. We just get trapped into the same what is it that I'm trying to get at? See, it's almost like a habit. It's a pattern.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pattern.
You come up against something new, something you need to solve, and you instinctively, automatically go to, I can figure this out myself.
Yeah, I do that a lot. But sometimes you got to know.
You could do it by yourself. If you got nothing else to do and you want to do it, that's fine. But if you have other things to do that are holding you back, and resolve it as quickly as possible. You can't just sit there. I mean, to get back to the story about this illustrator that hired you, they have a lot of stuff going on. They can figure it out themselves, but they want the answer they need for that specific situation that they're in, and they want to get it done, dealt with, so they can move on to the other things that are going to bring in income, get them further along.
Yeah. Well, you brought up an important point before, which was, if the business hinges on it. So, in a lot of cases, people who come to work with me, the ability to find new jobs hinges on knowing these programs. So if you don't know Illustrator, that you're shutting down, half of what potential income could be coming to you. Or if you don't know, Photoshop well enough that you can go out there and sell Photoshop digital artwork to people, then that's shutting down this pathway for income. So when you come and you learn these things, you're just opening up new pathways for yourself.
Yeah.
So.
I just don't get it started. I mean, hopefully people are listening and not getting too annoyed with us at this point. But I mean, we just think it's really important, man. It's not like it's just one of those things that I think you just have to accept. That you need to be willing to put not just effort and time, but money into what you're doing. If you're not, I see a lot of people not willing to pay money to market themselves. It's like, then why are you in business? I mean, if you're not going to market yourself, how the hell are people supposed to find you? Well, I'll just do social media for free, and because it doesn't cost me anything. Well, that's great, but you have to be able to tie something else with that. It's just crazy to me.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, there are a lot of different things that we could talk about here, but I think I really wanted to focus on the learning for today.
Yeah.
Get in on the whole idea of, what. Let's shift the focus from the obstacle to the reward. And the reward is once you learn this, you're going to be able to offer this much more, or you're going to be able to get past that one thing that sticking point, like you had mentioned. So
right.
Whether it's the marketing or a program that you need to learn, or understanding how to use social media or whatever, address that directly, learn that thing, and then move on, like you said. I think that's the one. Everybody has that one sticking point. And so maybe take a few minutes, sit down, figure out what are your sticking points, and then figure out how to address those sticking points and get them taken care of once and for all, so that you can move forward. Just like you were talking about,
Yeah.
So, if you find yourself with a few minutes of spare time, this is probably one of the most valuable things that you'll ever do, is to sit down and figure out what is holding me where I am and keeping me from being more successful or being in the place that I need to be. And now how do I address those things? So if it's because you don't understand Illustrator or Photoshop or InDesign or any of those programs, or if it's because you don't understand your marketing or whatever, then find somebody who can teach you that, or find a course that you can take that'll get you through that.
Right.
Or last resort, spend 6 days going online and trying to hunt that stuff.
Like you said too, I mean, there are books that you can buy, right? There are different investment levels.
There's different levels of learning
that you can come in on. You can buy a book. it's going to be a little more tedious, I think, depending on your learning style. For me, it's tedious. I'd rather just, buy somebody's time, and in an hour, like you said, usually when you buy somebody's time and you're working directly with somebody, you're able to identify specific things to you and your circumstances that they're able to resolve really a whole lot faster. So, so there's different levels of investments. So you can buy a book, or maybe you can buy an online program where you just go through it yourself. Sometimes, that's a good way to get started. Eventually, maybe sometimes you have specific problems that pertain to you that you'll need someone's direct feedback on. And that's going to cost a little more money. You know what? Because you're asking for someone's one-on-one time. Like in your case, for example, with your one-on-one coaching stuff, with the one-on-one coaching that I purchased from Kelly, for example. I don't want to go to watch a bunch of videos with her, which I have the option, but I want to be able to get her on Skype or somewhere and in maybe 15, 20 minutes walk directly, have her show her exactly what I'm dealing with, and show me the door. You know what I mean? Not having to like fish around, try to guess. And if I choose to do that, I always have that option. But to know that I can always, just pick up the phone and say, Kelly, let's schedule something really quick. And if it's, if it accommodates her schedule, we can get on there and resolve it like that. So, it's one of those things. I mean, it's just really, really beneficial. Gary?
Yeah, well, we lost our connection for a minute there. Okay. Yeah. Well, so let's wrap up for today. I think we pretty much beat this horse enough.
But it's an important point, because I mean, a lot of people, it's just don't get me started, but it's really, really important, dude. It's just I can't overemphasize how important this is, because it's really what I see a lot of people keeping a lot of people held down, is that they don't want to invest in themselves. It's like there's a lot of reasons for that, because maybe they're not confident that the outcome will pay off. For example, it's like buying advertising. You don't know, well, if I spend $500 on advertising, will I get that back? Well, who the hell knows? You got to do it, But you just have to be able to invest in yourself. Don't be afraid to have faith in your learning ability, your ability to make things happen once you have the information. So
yeah, there will be.
This is going to remind me to a quick quote from Abraham Lincoln. He says, give me 6 hours. Give me 6 hours to Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I'll take the first 4 hours to sharpen my axe. Right. So getting the information you need is sharpening your axe. It's not wailing away on a tree for 12 hours with a dull axe trying to cut it down. You can eventually you'll cut it down, but you're going to be wiped out. You're going to lose. Just think of how many other trees you can cut down if you just sharpen that axe for a few hours.
Yeah, well, you can kind of think of it as like a target, a bullseye, So if you choose to try to find the information on your own and just sort of hunt and pack online and find free videos or whatever, you're going to wind up in the white area of the target, which is the outer ring of that target. You may learn what you need to know, you may not. The next step is to purchase a course or to get a book, which will get you closer to the center. That'd probably be like the blue area, right? So. You may or may not learn it, but you have a better shot at getting your answer. Or if you go straight to the center ring, which is the bullseye, the red part, that all the questions that you need are going to be answered, and it's going to move you forward. So these different levels of learning come with different risk. Even though you're paying more money, you're eliminating risk from that center bullseye. Right, because if you hire somebody who knows this stuff, they are going to get you right to where you want to be, exactly answer the questions that you need to have answered, and then address those in the shortest amount of time. So each time you take a step away from that center ring, you're adding more time and you're adding more risk. Even though the price is going to be lower as you go out, you're risking different things. So you're risking more of your time, wasting more of your time, kind of thing. So I don't know if that makes sense, but. That's kind of my analogy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we're full of analogies.
Love it. This up. I love it. So I went for
Lincoln. We got the target. We covered it all, Bob.
Yeah, we should have had like a little diagram. I was going to draw if I had a whiteboard behind me, I'd be doing like these big circles and stuff and shooting arrows at it and everything. But I think this is one of those things that's really close to me because I get to see this a lot. I see a lot of different people come into my classrooms from all different backgrounds, and a lot of them, I tried to learn this on my own. I tried to do this, tried to do that, and then once they get into the classroom, they just, like, their head almost explodes when they learn that one thing that's been holding them back for years. They're just like, oh. And I had a couple of those moments in Kelly's class, when I was sitting there, and I wanted to jump up on my desk and go, I've been trying to learn this for 3 years, and so, and she teaches me to me in 10 seconds. It's like nothing to her, But to me, I'm just like, wow, that I can't believe how many doors it's going to open for me. Now that I know this stuff, now that I know how to set up an e-commerce site or whatever, it's like, woohoo, game on, So, anyways,
it just opens up a whole bunch of possibilities for yourself. So anyway, if you can relate to what we're saying, if you want to open up a little bit and be honest. Maybe share with us some of the things that maybe you've been putting off, maybe some courses or classes or different things that you've been putting off learning because you've been trying to do it on your own and it just hasn't been happening or you haven't been consistent enough. That's another thing. I mean, if you take a course, that maybe every Thursday or every Friday you're going to be doing something. Where if it's on your own, you're kind of left to kind of design your own schedule and sometimes it gets complicated and you'll start, but you won't finish, and that's that's another area that a lot of us struggle with. Is we start things and don't finish them. So, it gives you a step-by-step process. So, share with us anything that you might have on your mind that you've been trying to get done and just haven't been able to do it or just chosen not to do it. We'd love to hear from you, and a lot of people that read the comments. It'll be helpful for other people too. I mean, it's helpful for us to get this off our chest and share it with you and hopefully you'll be able to help somebody else by sharing your own experience.
Well, that's just it. This is also an opportunity to do a little networking. So getting yourself into a classroom, you're going to meet some people, and we met some great people. I met Kelly, and that was a fantastic connection. So you get out there and see what you can find and learn something new. Hey, stay in school, kids. Dee, 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 and then a little star goes over.
So Bob, what do you got going on? Okay, so we announced that Tara's going to be on the 19th, Friday the 19th at 10 o'clock. We're going to set up a page for that where people can, try to maybe register or sign up for that or something if you want to listen live. And she'll be talking about a few things that she's got going on. What else? Where you got the conference coming up?
Conference coming up, yeah. So we'll be talking a little bit more about that. If you want to check out, what kind of stuff I'm up to, you can read about my lead up to the conference over at bobostrom.com. I'm doing a little bit of blogging about my experience. This is all new for me, so I wanted to kind of chronicle it as I go through. But so far, it's just been a tremendous experience. I've met some really great people. And we're just having a ball putting this stuff together. So I think it's going to be really great information for everybody.
Now, last week Kelly talked about the red feather when she went to some of these conferences, and her network group wore red feathers so they can identify each other and kind of form a little group.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool story.
So you're going to have the same thing. What are you going to have? Red feathers, red boas? What are you guys wearing?
I'm going to just have a Sharpie, and I'm just going to go put a big X on everybody's forehead. Yeah, and I'm going to write, "You're with me." There you go.
That was a good Sharpie sound effect. Do that again. Oh, very nice.
Thanks, man. I've been working on that. No, I just
might be a market for that.
Yeah. No, I'm just I love that story about the networking, and you can never learn too much about that. So let's put a link up to that in our show notes again, up to her red feather network there, because I think that's some really
if you haven't listened to that interview, go listen to it. It was, what was the title on it? Five steps to starting your own business successfully.
Something like that. Yeah, it was last week. If you're watching this, just go back one
go check it
blog
out.
Post, and you'll find it.
we got a bunch of videos on there, so go check it out on Google Plus, Carlos Castellanos.
Well,
all right, so that's about it. And if people wanted to get in touch with you, Bob, and follow up with maybe some of your teachings, or just to chat for 45 minutes, what do you got? Where can people find you? Most likely in the woods.
I thought it was going to be like one of those things on the news where they have like the search and rescue dogs go all out there, looking for a 50-year-old man who got lost in the woods 3 days ago. And I'll stumble out through the brush like all crazy and everything.
You have all the investigators going through the woods, and they would just find like little drawings, little hieroglyphics on walls and on rocks and tree stumps of what's going on.
And I can just see it now. The cops would come up and they'd be looking at him like, "Wow, his perspective's way off in this one. He must really be in trouble." Yeah, I got to the end of that run, and it was like 7:30. It's starting to get dark. I'm starting to panic. I'm like, "Oh boy, I gotta get out of here."
That was the time your 3-mile run turned into a 12-mile run.
Honestly, I think I must have gone. I went like. I must have gone like 7 or 8 miles zigzagging back and forth on those trails. But hey, I'm all in better shape for it now. So now I know. But now the other thing is that when I go back there, I'll know exactly how to do it. Just like when you go back on your website, if anything goes wrong,
you need to hire someone who's experienced.
I should have hired a guy
to teach you how to track. So that way, when you go around in circles, you probably went around 3 or 4 circles. And you could track your own footsteps, and you would have known. You would have been going around in circles.
You would have been proud of me. I was like a Boy Scout back then. Like all my Boy Scout training came back to me. Okay, let's see. We want to head downhill. We'll find a river. A river will take us out to civilization.
You've been watching too many survival shows, my friend.
I was in one. All
right. So where can people find you, Bob?
Okay, so you can find me at Bob Teaches. At bobostrom.studio.com or bobostrom.com is probably the faster way to get there. And then, Carlos, where can people find you?
Well, now they can find me back on Drawn by Success.
Woohoo!
It's up for the time being, so don't put it off. Go there today because I know it's up today, so it might not be up tomorrow.
You better hurry.
You better hurry up. Don't procrastinate here, folks. If you want to talk to me or send me a message, Carlos at drawnbysuccess.com. You can go there if you want to schedule. Next week I'm going to have a few hours during Tuesday and Wednesday in the morning hours if you guys, and that would be what? What's the date?
I just put my calendar away, sorry.
The 10th. Tuesday and Wednesday, the 9th and the 10th, before noon Eastern Standard Time. If you guys want to schedule maybe a strategy session, you're stuck on something, you don't know where your market is or things have changed for you and you're just trying to hone in on where your focus should be, you can schedule a call with me at Carlos at drawnbysuccess.com. Just get back to me there.
I'm going to give you a little endorsement, Carlos. So if you guys, this is a huge opportunity. So if you have the time, by all means schedule it. You will not regret it. Carlos will get you right where you want to be. There's my endorsement.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And here's the thing about it, because a lot of people are stuck on, they're overwhelmed. They don't know where to go, or if they've been in the business for a while. And this is not a sales pitch by any means. I'm just telling you what most people get out of it. Is that the clarity is the most important thing. Is that a lot of people don't do what they need to do because they're not clear on, first of all, where they want to go really, and what that next step is. Depending on where they are at that moment.
That can be a scary place to be.
Right, yeah. So they don't know what the next step is for them to get them in the direction they want to go. They're kind of like you, lost in the woods. To be quite honest.
Probably should have never brought that story up.
but no, honestly, I mean, if you want to take 20 minutes or 30 minutes to have a little strategy call and figure out where you're at and bounce some things back and forth and kind of get my input on where maybe what your next step might be, I'd be happy to discuss it with you guys. Again, I have Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. That's the 9th and the 10th before noon Eastern Standard Time, so 9 to 12. And I'd be happy to talk to anybody that wants to just pick my brain a little bit and just needs some ideas to bounce off of. So there you have it. Next week, I think Bob and I will be together again, and we'll have another subject to talk about. We don't know what that subject might be yet. We haven't decided. We have a few on the table.
It's not going to be Lost in the Woods.
We are no longer lost in the woods.
That would be a good title for today's episode, Lost in the Woods.
Lost in the Woods. So anyway, we'll keep you in the loop as to what's coming up for next Friday's show. Again, share with us your comments about anything that we've discussed today. If you disagree with us, hey, don't be afraid to just tell us you don't think we know what the hell we're talking about. That's fine too. That's the first time we've heard that. So anyway, see you guys Friday. Thanks for joining us. This has been DrawnBySuccess.com's Friday Hangouts with Carlos and Bob. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you again next week. Ciao. See you later, Bob. No more running in the woods, pal.
I'm gonna run on the road today, I think. It's kind of hot out there. Gotta be careful. You'll find me lying in a ditch.
Well, at least the roads have you can find yourself on Google Maps.
You can always flag down a car. It's like I would have to flag down a helicopter in the woods. I'm gonna bring a flare gun with me next time.
Everybody's set the woods on fire. Then you'll be lost and be imprisoned for arson.
At least they'll be able to find me.
All right, guys. See you later. Thanks, Bob.
Okay, Carlos. See ya.